Hello YouTube people, I just wanted to make this little video showing you what have I done to my Trek Marlin 5. I have slightly customized this bike. This is my daily commuter right now. This is what I ride every day to work. So first of all, it's an e-bike right now. It has 1500 watt nominal power motor, 2000 peak power, 35 amp controller, which I have shunt modded, but about that a little bit later. Two batteries, 52 volts, 20 amp hours each. So I connected them in parallel. So right now it has 40 amp hours in total. I also upgraded shock. Nothing fancy, just a little bit beefier Suntour fork, 120mm travel. It's a little bit thicker, beefier. It's a lot safer, you know, than the original one. That's all I need from this fork. Also, new tires, Continental Race Kings, 2.2 inches width, so pretty wide for this bike, and they actually pretty good. They roll very well and they have very good grip. I really like these tires, they feel good. What else I have upgraded? Seat post with suspension, Suntour suspension seat post. It feels great. I really recommend it. It's a bit expensive, but man, it's a great upgrade for a bike. Also, very fluffy, very plushy seat with springs. You know, usually you wouldn't see something like that on a mountain bike, but this bicycle has pedals only so that you would have somewhere to rest your feet while you're holding the throttle down. So it has a throttle, about that a bit later. Also upgraded brakes, Shimano hydraulic brakes, 4-piston brakes. Rotors are just 160mm, front and rear just 160mm, but with these 4-piston calipers I really don't need more braking power. They are good enough, definitely good enough, very good brakes. And what else? If you would look carefully at the handlebar, there are no gear shifters. No gear shifters. So what I did, I removed all the gearing except I left derailleurs. So the front derailleur is locked on the second chain ring, and the rear derailleur is also locked. I had to screw in a little bit longer limiting screws so it would lock in place. So right now you can't knock it out. It's just shut in one place. It can't shift gears. And honestly, I just chose one gear, which is, you know, like emergency. If something breaks, I need to pedal this bicycle back home. So that's basically just for emergency. I don't even need a chain on this bicycle. It's more of a moped than bicycle, to be honest with you. Well, what else? I added mudguards because it's my commuter bike, so sometimes I ride through rain a little bit, not much, because I'm afraid to get it too wet. Now, what's a mess here? Why it looks all so messy? First of all, I had covered it all up. It was looking nice, and it wasn't heating up. It was all good. But now I have shunt modded this controller, which 35 amp controller. Originally it was giving me peak power of 1800 watts, but right now after shunt mod I don't know how much power it makes, because the thing about shunt mod that it tricks this controller in a way that it doesn't really know how much power it actually does provide. So the motor right now gets a little bit hot. Not too bad. It's I still able to touch it, and you know, if I would estimate, I would say that peak power right now it's probably close to 3000. Well, let's be, you know, humble, and let's say that peak power right now it's probably about 2500 watts, and it's it has a lot more torque, Originally, before shunt modding this controller, top speed was about 60 kilometers per hour on even road without wind, but it took quite a long distance to reach 60 kilometers per hour. Right now, I have not tested out top speed. I'm just too scared to burn it down, I don't wanna burn down this shunt mode controller, so I'm a little bit careful. So I have limited top speed to 57 kilometers per hour. From what it feels like, it has a lot more torque. It reaches speeds a lot quicker. And the thing is, I believe it should probably reach, well, at least 65 kilometers per hour easily. But other thing about bicycle like this is that going over 60 kilometers per hour on this bicycle, it starts to feel sketchy. It's just too fast for a bicycle with tires like that. It's just too fast. So I found out that the safe limit, where I feel safe and stable with this bike, that I can stop quickly, controllably and safely, top speed of my safety is 57 kilometers per hour. So that's where I set my speed limiter, and I'm happy to keep it there. let's have some fun, but let's do it in a safe manner, because this thing is already so much fun. The last thing I need is more top speed on this bike. What I actually wanted, why I did shunt mod on this bike, is to get more torque, and it definitely has more torque right now. It's amazing. Also, I have a little story about this bike. Is that I also bought the motor for the front wheel. I also bought the same wheel with motor, but for the front. So also 1500 watt nominal powers, and it was connected to the completely separate system. It had its own controller, and those two batteries, one battery was connected to the rear, another battery was connected to the front, and it had also two displays. The only thing was done is that both controllers were actually connected to the single throttle. I just soldered down cables to the single throttle, and it was working just great. I will put links in the description how it looks like from first person view, riding this bike with two motors, dual motors. And with two motors, it was making nominal power of around 3000 watts. And peak power, according to my calculations, was about 4400 watts peak power. And it was a lot of fun. The front wheel was skipping up to 30 kilometers per hour. It was a lot of fun riding on sand. But when the front wheel has this motor, it upsets the balance of the whole bike, and the suspension doesn't want to work, and the whole bike feels very sketchy, very nervous, very twitchy, and it's just not pleasant thing to ride. It's fun to have fun around a little bit, for a day or two, but that's it. I just took out that motor from the front and I shunt modded the controller, and right now it's a lot nicer thing to ride. I'm actually not scared of this bike right now at all. I do jump it over speed bumps, no problem whatsoever. It's very easy to control. And one thing I did initially, I added this bike rack on the rear, and so that I would add secondary battery, which is on top of the frame right now, on the rear rack, And the problem was that the balance of the bike was very upset. It felt very nervous, very twitchy. It felt really bad, and the rear of the bike was jumping all over the place. So I actually drilled holes in the frame and mounted secondary battery on the top of the frame. So the rear controller has the controller has its own place right now, and right now it feels well balanced. This bike feels maybe a little bit top heavy because of that battery, but I do need a little bit of extra range with shunt mod right now. But it's not bad. Right now it's pretty good, especially with this beefed up suspension. Well, it's not beefed up, but it's a lot better than the original one. Now, why do you see those cables out in the open? It does look bad. It looks pretty nasty, unfinished, but it has to be this way. because motor phase wires, these ones, blue, green and yellow, they were connected to a single box initially and was heating up pretty badly. Actually, blue wire started melting a little bit, so I separated them into two boxes to dissipate heat a little bit better. And I can't put them in any kind of cover right now at all. They have to be in the open for ventilation, and when they are in open like that, no problems whatsoever. They don't get hot at all right now. Ventilation helps a lot, but once I put them in a bag nice and neat, you know, to cover everything, they start heating up again. So I can't really do anything about that. They have to stay out in the open to dissipate the heat. Anyway, so if you want to see how this bike rides, I'm not going to edit this video out. I'm just making this video honestly just for myself, because sometime far in the future I might want to look back in time to see what I had, what kind of fun project I had and rode this bicycle. So I'm basically making this video just for myself, and I will put links in the description how it looks like riding this bicycle from first person view, because, well, it's a lot of fun, let me tell you that. So yeah, that's the presentation of my Trek Marlin 5 custom. Okay, bye.